Sooner Nation, Thunder Nation, we are back. This is the Just Okay Sports podcast. It's just Oklahoma sports and just a very average podcast. I'm Daryl. It's my brother Jared, and we'll be rocking all this out for you tonight. Talking Thunder, talking finals, talking OU football, talking softball for sure in the state of Oklahoma. But again, please like, subscribe, do all those things to help us out. We would really appreciate it. YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, all the things. Jared, how is Florida?
Wet. No, we're having I guess that's my first experience where I don't know what they're calling it. It's not a tropical depression, but we had
Oh
like a
yeah.
tropical what I don't know, like it's literally rained for like 3 or 4 days in a row. It's supposed to just rain for 3 or 4 days more. Luckily, it was like originally I was like right in the band that was supposed to get like literally they were saying like it's not inches of rain, it's feet of rain. Um and it's kind of like drifted further south. Um, which it's kind of funny. Like we kind of needed the rain, but yeah, it's been kind of wild. It's just been like raining like crazy. But yeah, things are good. It's like it's a busy time of year. Just because it's like summer and stuff. So like I got, like I was in Canada just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you were.
Um, this weekend I may be driving up to Georgia to see some friends that live up there near kind of near Atlanta. Um, and so I'm kind of, just it's like that busy. It's like summer is always that time of year where it's just kind of like you always have a little bit of chaos in there. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
having a little bit of that season, I guess. Which I guess is like if it's time now is the time to do it because sports is kind of like basketball is about to be over. The NBA's we're gonna talk about that
Right.
later. The NBA finals is about to be over. Softball's over. College baseball's over. Oh, your football's not for a few more months. So if I'm gonna have it, like now's the time to do it. The only thing that I have going on sports wise, after the finals is over, the NBA finals is like F1, and that's every few weeks. So whatever, um, every couple weeks. So yeah, how's things
Yes.
in the Oklahoma? How are things on the
Mm.
plains?
Actually, really good. Busy week this week, so I apologize to everybody on the pod. I will probably be snacking throughout because our daughter's been at cheer camp at OU all week, and today was kind of the final of that. So we drove to Norman and watched them do their routines and their new skills, all that stuff, awards. Got home, changed clothes. Our church is doing VBS this week, and so I like literally walked in the house 9:15, which by the way, it is Wednesday night, 9:15 p.m. Is when we're recording this, and so that's my first chance to have dinner today. Was 9:15, so but it's been good. It's been a fun week. Weather's been for this time of year. I think we've only been in the 90s like twice, three times. So like that's pretty unheard of to be this deep into June and not be that hot. It's really been incredible. So, but the heat's starting to come. So, but life is good. Life is great. Can't complain at all. Speaking of greatness, the greatest of all time, both senior class, program, coach, all of it. We're starting with softball tonight. There's no doubt that's where we've got to kick off as far as our topics for the evening. I mean, bro, I just where do we even start? Like with this whole thing. Like, well, I tell you what, I can I start because
I Yeah.
I need to apologize. Not because I didn't think that OU would win it. I still thought they definitely had a chance, but I had more doubts and questions than I've ever had about this team going into this. And then they just got to the finals and said, excuse me, we are still the queens of the diamond and we still wear the crown in a very emphatic way. And so, ladies, I apologize for ever doubting whatsoever. It was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Texas was. We talked about it. Texas was really good this year.
Yeah.
Um,
And young.
and yeah, they're a really young team. They're really just talented. They're really just I mean, like I said, kudos to them. They're really good. I thought, and really when you look at the series, like they're a couple of like just boneheaded mistakes away
Mm-hmm.
from this probably going to 3 games.
Yeah.
Or a good chance of it. But yeah, I mean, just Patty Gasso just knows how to lock them in. Um, I think a lot of us had a little bit of hesitation after they dropped the game to Florida and then
Right.
had to fight back. Um, so yeah, to go on and just absolutely, they didn't. And the thing is, it's like they didn't even really dominate. I guess the one Texas, the first game, I think it was game one, was like they won
Eight
by
to
like four
three
runs or
or
something.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, they 4 or 5 runs. So it was like, okay, that was, you could say close to dominant, but the other one was close, and the game against Florida was close.
Yeah.
And so it was a nail biter. So it's just, I think as OU fans, we have to kind of adjust to that. I think that's something we have to kind of come to terms with. This team was exceptional,
Yeah.
right? Last year's team was otherworldly.
Yes.
Um,
And even
you
maybe the
know,
one before that.
yeah. I mean, you don't like while you have some like power hitters, you don't have like a Jocelyn Allo that just every time she touches the bat, it's just there's a good chance it's going yard.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that's something that we have to kind of like I don't think that makes them worse of a team.
Right.
I just think that there's that little bit of um I don't know how to phrase it. It's just that they weren't as dominant. Like they don't have
Yeah.
the same offensive output. They're not the same type of team, but they're gritty. They never gave up. Kelly Maxwell just
Oh,
maybe she deserves a statue. She,
nails.
she was just crazy good down the series. And you know what? Can we just talk real quick about Patty Gasso basically in the game two, just throwing out every pitcher she had in her bullpen? I
Oh
think
my
just to screw with
God.
Texas.
Dude, there was a Texas fan that put on Twitter, I'm pretty sure that Patty Gasso literally just tried to embarrass us by putting her fifth string, fourth string, and third string pitchers in to start the game, and we still couldn't produce any runs off of them.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, now granted, they did produce runs, but I mean, not much. I mean,
yeah.
those pitchers essentially shut them down. And they like one of them had pitched 10 innings. My wife was like, because remember, not much. Okay. Like, I'm not trying to like over, but my wife did play college softball. This was her sport. She played for a season till she shredded her entire knee, and then she decided to step away from it. And she was losing her mind. She was like, "Why is Nicole May not pitching?" I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. Why is Kirsten Deal not? I was like, I don't know. And so then we were like, well, maybe that she's just trying to throw them off balance. Like then she kind of caught her breath, said she's going to pitch the one girl for a little bit. She gets in some trouble. She'll bring in May or she'll bring in Deal. Then you bring in, I don't even remember the girl's name. Like, I'm so sorry, but Monticelli. That's who it was. Monticelli. What are we doing? Like, she just started. I mean, she like could not figure it
Well, and that's what
out.
like everybody was like. They brought one in at like the 2/3 inning mark. So you're like, what? Like, why not let like you're not in trouble? Like
Yeah.
there was. I was like, what are we? Why are we doing this? Like let them finish the inning, or whatever. But ended up working out, like I said, and yeah, just Patty Gasso, man, like legitimately move her statue to Heisman Park for all I care, dude. Like she is insane.
Yeah.
And they look like they're going to be. I mean, that's the thing is a lot of people have talked about how like Kinsey Hansen's leaving. You've got some of the
Ciara, Jada Coleman,
JD
Nicole
Coleman,
May,
Nicole
Kelly
May.
Maxwell. I mean,
Yeah, you're losing a lot of talent, but then you've got some guys like you got some girls on this team that are just.
well, Ella Parker was nails in the series, right? You
Mhm.
got Pickering nails in the series. Um, so you've definitely got some girls that are still going to be around. I do think what became obvious once they got to super regionals and those kinds of things, their pitching has not been what it's been in years. I mean, like last year, you had not only Nicole May and Kirsten Deal there, who Deal was a freshman, right? Trying to figure her way out, but you had May, who's great. You had Sirocco and Ball. I mean, that three-headed monster alone can get you a long way. This year, it really was kind of Kelly Maxwell. Not
Well,
take
and
anything away from May. May was really good. Deal had some good moments, but you don't put those in the circle and go, we're good. Like, we'll be okay if we can get bats, right? Like, so they're going to have a lot to replace in the circle next year.
yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing with this team is there is this is like one of those anomalous years, I feel like, because when you look at like Nicole May, we talked about Nicole May, and I don't want to take away from Nicole May. Nicole May has been
Awesome.
fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. So I don't want to make this sound like we're hating Nicole May.
No.
But we all expected, because of the other pitchers that have done these leaps,
Yes.
we didn't see that with her this year, really. Like, she was still really, really, really good. But
Yes.
we didn't see, like, we expected like that G, like when G, like we talked about G, whenever she came in, nails,
Yeah.
right? You had like Sirocco, even like she was a Big Ten pitcher of the
And the
year or
year.
whatever she
Yeah.
was. And then she comes here and she was even better. And like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, everybody was like, seemed like it got better. And it just kind of felt like Nicole May was really, really close to what she was last year. I think she was
Yeah.
better, but I think she was close to what she was last year. I don't think she made that leap. But it's at the same time, Kelly Maxwell just
She found herself again. I mean, like, let's be honest. Kelly Maxwell, her first early years at Oklahoma State was unbelievable. And a matter of fact, they're an error away from playing us in the finals 2 years ago, right? Like, if you remember that, and I believe it was Kelly Maxwell that fielded a ground ball and turned to throw to second and threw it into center field and cost them a run that cost them the game, you
yeah.
know? And it was kind of like after that moment, she just kind of went on a decline at Oklahoma State. And she was really good to start the year this year. But man, when she got to the series, dude, she was
She was just
unstoppable. It was unreal.
unbelievable. Unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And I think that's, again, I think this is what we have to, I think what people have to start realizing, and I think it's really showed, probably not quite as much last year, but even last year, but especially this year, the ability for Patty Gasso to take this team to face adversity, which I know people are going to say, well, you won a crazy amount of games and you're on a four-peat. How is that adversity? It's like you were one game away from being eliminated in the series when you were one of the favorites to win it, right?
Right.
And those sorts of things. Like, she gets them locked in for the big games like nobody else. Um, Not to say that OU, and that's the thing, is I want to point out, like, OU made some mistakes in this game. Like, they made some mental errors through the playoffs or the postseason.
Yeah.
But it was like, you when you, like, to me personally, and of course I'm biased, right? Like, I have OU helmets sitting right behind me, but Texas looked a lot more deer in the headlights at times. Like, I,
Yes.
I think that's the difference. When OU, and this is the thing, and I think this is where I'm going to throw back at people that get mad at this team for being so celebratory and so, whatever you want to call it, exuberant with their celebrations. This team, whenever like something went bad, everybody just went like, okay, like, lock in, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, you could see them all look at each other, and you could see that look in their eyes where they were like, okay, Texas, when that happened, they like, you saw them going like, like, you literally just could see them going, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference. And I think that's like the championship thing that Patty Gasso has built into this team, where when that adversity comes, when that mistake happens, when those things happen, you don't get that deer in the headlights. You just go, okay, next play.
Yeah.
Like, she
And
gives
look,
them,
like, let's not discount the reality that Texas played a lot of freshmen and sophomores.
yes,
And
yeah,
that's
100%.
a big piece of that. I don't disagree with you that Patty does a great job with her girls, but you also had five seniors that just they've been through it all.
Yeah.
They've lost those games, they've been in those like, so they're going to be able to rally from a player standpoint. Well, Mike White, dude, like, as much as I hate to say it, I don't like the dude, but he's recruited his butt off because that team is loaded and they are young.
Yeah, I mean, well, the only thing, like I said, you can't argue that he hasn't recruited extremely well.
Right.
As far as who's, if you had to put a gun to my head and tell me who's going to be in the College World Series or Women's College World Series next year, OU and Texas is high on that list. OU's got a lot to rebuild, so we'll see.
Right.
They've got a really crazy recruiting class coming in. They've already
Yeah.
got some, like you said, youth that's already shown to be extremely talented. Texas is definitely probably the favorite next year
Yeah.
going into the season. Given that they don't have like an exodus of transfers or something
No.
wild. But yeah, you got to give it to him for that. But he is just a grade
Yeah.
just not a good person. I'm just gonna, keep it family friendly.
Yeah, exactly. And I would just say, look, closing with two things. One, OU fans, prepare yourself now Okay. This year, your team lost 6 games in the regular season, and y'all were losing your minds that Patty had lost it, that her edge was gone, that she didn't know what to do anymore. Like the stuff that you guys put on Twitter and social media about this team for losing 6 out of like 50 something games was insane. And I'm just telling you right now, this team is going to lose 13 to 16, 17 games next year just in youth. Just in youth. Now, look, they're bringing in insane talent, but it's gotta grow. Like this truly is going to be the first time in what now, 12 years that we're rebuilding.
Can we also I'm gonna hijack, and maybe this will be a segue. I don't know how much maybe we're talking about softball. I'm cool talking about softball for the whole
Yeah.
pod. I mean, they deserve plenty of airtime, right? But maybe the segue. Think about this, because I actually had a buddy that was texting me about this. OU baseball seems to be on the rise.
Yep.
The SEC is already a pretty stacked conference when it comes to baseball.
Huge. Yeah.
Now you've already got OU and Texas entering that.
Yep.
Now you've got OU and Texas softball, who are both, OU's already at where it is, right? They're
Right.
top of the mountain. Texas is definitely on the surge. You already have Alabama,
Florida,
Florida,
Georgia's pretty good year in and year out.
Tennessee's that team that's sneaky
Tennessee's really
good.
good.
A
Yep.
and M's like
A&M.
you have a ton of power. It's like even in those sports, take football out for just a second. I know everybody wants to talk about SEC football, and totally get that, but he messaged me and he was like, if you think about it, in every sport, football, like all the big sports, right? Like if you want to throw softball into the big sports, right? Like it gets a lot of airtime,
Right.
which is, probably a lot to do with Oklahoma City, but whatever. Football, dominant conference. There's no arguing. Nobody's going to argue that.
No.
Basketball, you have a lot of teams that now are. I mean, you have Alabama, who's a team that's
They're up and down, but yeah. I mean, they're there.
what I'm saying is you have teams like you have Kentucky. You have Alabama's a team that's up and down, but when they're good, they're really good.
Arkansas has got a good tradition.
Florida,
Yep.
All those things. And like I said, you go to baseball and it's like every sport they're going to be good at. Like he texted me and said at every major sport, including softball, there is a good chance you'll see an SEC team in them.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is because OU, and like that's what was it, 50 something percent of the championships in the Big 12 now are leaving with OU and Texas.
Yes.
So
well
good
over.
luck, guys. The Big 12 had to have been just pooping its pants watching OU and Texas play for a national title. By the way, hey, also breaking news. That was the last sporting event for OU and Texas in the Big 12. So we are officially SEC school. So
yes,
let's go. It just means more. It just means more now.
Gosh. It still makes me sick a little bit. But yes, transitioning over to that. Oh, by the way, did you see that Joe Castiglione literally brought goats to the celebration at Love's Field? Yes. They literally had the senior class and Patty take photos with goats at the celebration at the stadium. It was amazing. Anyways, on the rise, OU football is on the rise, and one of the ways they are doing that's through recruiting. Now, I just want to give this to you for those of you that maybe don't subscribe to all the different insider things, all that kind of stuff. It has been OU's camp season, and there's another one coming up this weekend. This is where they're bringing in 26, the class of 26, class of 27 kids. They're kind of putting it together via position groups. Like last week, I think Thursday or Friday was the O-line day. They had a D-line day, that kind of stuff. If you go through Twitter and just search Oklahoma or offer Oklahoma, you will see that OU offered a ton of kids over the last week or so. And so if you're into recruiting, that's how you can kind of find out who's coming up in these younger classes to be watching and looking at. Be worth your time. We're going to be doing that and kind of letting you know who we're excited about. Because like, for instance, I know one person that we offered, we were the first D1 Power 4 offer they have. So he's kind of off the radar, which by the way,
which is still weird to say Power 4, by the way.
I know. Ryan Foji, who's one of our tackle commits,
Mhm.
is surged from not ranked hardly at all to all the way up into the top 100. And we were one of his first offers. So this is
Yeah.
kind of that spot where you do that, right? And go. Now, the other surge that we're on, unfortunately, is being very SEC ready. Because apparently Makari Vickers was arrested this week, has already posted bail. Now, let's be real. From what we can gather, uh, looking at some other sites, all those different things, it's parking tickets that are unpaid. It's not the worst thing. I think we've all gone to college and gotten parking tickets, not paid them, especially on campus
Yep.
areas. It's still dumb, still not okay,
It's
but it
still
is what it
avoidable.
is. Right.
Yep.
Now, then about 3, 4 hours after that news came out, it comes out that Dion Burks was also arrested on June 1st. And he was arrested for driving while under the influence and an open container in the vehicle.
Yep.
Not great. And according to the documents, I can't remember. I don't remember if it was George Stoya, I think, or OU Insider, one of those two that put it up out there. When they pulled him over, there was a completely empty bottle of tequila in the
Yep.
car. He was
Hmm.
doing 25 miles over the speed limit. So it definitely seems like there's a suspension coming, and this will be interesting. We've heard one game. I don't know how Brent will treat this. This is the first time Brent's really had massive off the field issues, right? Like this. And look, the Vickers one, I don't count. But literally, since Brent's been here, Dion Burks is by far the worst situation. Now, obviously, we're following the Georgia Bulldogs playbook right now, but it is what it is. So, any thoughts on that?
Well, there's not like half the team that's, we don't
Yeah,
have
being picked
staffers
up.
that are driving a car at 300 miles an hour or whatever. Um, yeah, I mean, Vickers dumb, right? Like Vickers. I'm gonna frame this for everybody because I think that you have to kind of like. I feel like it's one of those things where you have to kind of look at it from the perspective of like if our like obviously we're brothers. If our
Oh
father found out that I had unpaid parking tickets and I got arrested, our father would
yeah.
tell me I was an idiot
Oh
and
yeah.
handle it and whatever, right? Like I'd get chewed, but it would kind of be like one of those you're dumb. You're
Yeah.
dumb. You made a very
Yeah.
dumb mistake, whatever.
Yeah.
If I got pulled over for driving while intoxicated at a high rate of speed with an empty tequila bottle,
Yeah. I
a
don't
very different conversation. I don't want to be neither
yeah.
you or I want to be in that conversation.
Yeah.
That's one of those that's one of those that our father is I think he's had probably the same conversation with us. He would make us stay in jail for the night
Yeah.
and learn our lesson, right?
Yeah.
So that's the severity. I mean, the Vickers thing, stupid. It needs to
Yeah.
get handled. It needs to be, that's something that I'm sure Brent Venables and teams isn't going to let that slide, right?
Right.
They're going to be like, you need to go run bleachers or whatever punishment they award him,
Yeah.
right? Schmidt's going to have a field day
Oh
for a week or
Lord.
whatever.
Oh Lord.
Burks, on the other hand, I'm just like, there's probably going to be a suspension. There's probably going to be Schmidt's going to have
Full rain.
full reign for the summer, probably the rest
Yeah.
of summer. Um, but again, the other thing is like because when I saw this broke, I saw some people on Twitter that were like, I thought the culture was better. I'm like, look, guys, this isn't the norm. Like Brent Venables
Yeah.
has been here for 3 years.
Right. Exactly.
And while that's still dumb, I'm not dismissing what Burks did. That is terrible. Right?
No.
Don't do it. But this isn't beating somebody up and pistol whipping somebody and stealing drugs
Right.
and all these other crazy things that happen when
Yeah.
Lincoln Riley was here. And
Right.
not only that, constantly. These sorts of things with Burks were a yearly, if not
Mm.
bi-yearly event, right? Like if I
Right.
heard 3 years ago, just if you reframe your mind and try to remember what you thought 3 years ago, 4 years ago, right?
Yeah.
You would have been like, man, that sucks. So another one, and you just moved on about your day because it was just expected.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I mean, yeah, this is not the sky is falling culture issue. It's something to be wary of. But like let's also be clear. and again, this doesn't dismiss anything, but Burks is a transfer that's been on campus for 6 months, right?
Yeah.
And again, freshmen are the same way. I get that, but I'm just saying we don't have any idea what the culture was like at Purdue. Like we don't know what they got away with, what they didn't get away with, how things were handled or not handled. And so, Brent says it all the time. You recruit your own problems. And while Burks was never in trouble that we know of there, maybe he didn't do enough investigating to, okay, he didn't get in trouble, but there were some things going on that we didn't know about or whatever. But this is not systemic. I mean, again, you don't see this. I mean, we were just talking not long ago how we got through winter without anybody getting arrested and how different that was. And that still feels different from the Lincoln Riley era. So we're good. Like, I'm not worried about it. But again, it is news that needs to be out there. It needs, we just have to talk about it. We have to do it. I hope for both of them that this is a great learning experience. And look, worst case scenario to me here is you learn your lesson and Schmitty gets a hold of you for the whole summer and makes you that much better than what you would have already been anyway. So let's go with that, right?
Yeah.
Now, there's not a ton of other news going on. So I thought we would do this today. And then we
I'm
can
actually gonna
come. Oh, go ahead.
I just say I am gonna hijack part of this after we're done with this next part we're talking about. So go ahead.
Oh, gotcha. I do want us to kind of look at the schedule. Now, look, I think we still have massive question marks about the offensive line. I think we still have massive question marks about defensive end and a bunch of other things. But just based on what we've got right now, we want to go through schedule week by week and pick our wins and losses on the season, right? Because you've got some people saying 6 games is all that this team's going to get. You got other people saying this is a 9 or 10 win team or it's a bust of a season. So we're going to walk it through. Now, K Ford Ratings, if you don't follow them on Twitter, is actually kind of a fun little follow. Um, they do some really cool analytic stuff where they do wins and losses over the last several years, how they've done on strength of schedule, what their offense was ranked, what their defense was ranked, and then what they're predicting them to be ranked, and all these things. When he put everything in his little mashup, scenario, he gave OU the sixth toughest schedule in the country
I
out of
believe it.
everybody. Now, we already knew the schedule was tough, and we've been mentioning this for a couple weeks. But let me just give you this. When we play Tennessee, we will play them at home. That's great. But the week before, the Volunteers are playing Kent State, right? We play Texas at a neutral site. The week before is their bye week. So they have nobody to prepare for and everybody to get healthy. When we play Ole Miss at Ole Miss, the week before, it's their bye week. When you play Missouri at Missouri, the week before is their bye week. Then when you play Bama at home the week before, they play Mercer University. And last but not least, you have to go to LSU for a night game in Death Valley. And who do they play the week before? Vanderbilt.
Should Bama and Mercer? I swear they've played so many times. It feels like now they should have like a rivalry trophy. Like
It's
it's
dude.
nuts.
It's a great payday for Mercer. So I mean it is. But all that to say, that is something that no one has taken into account, I don't think, in these rankings of strength of schedule. They're doing things like the wins and losses the years before, of everybody's team the year before, their predictions on where people are going to be ranked. There's all kinds of analytics. We don't have an analytic that says the week before they play you, they basically get to prepare 2 weeks for you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's exactly what we have in 6 games. 6.
Yeah. Well, and I have yet to see. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of like sites, a lot of people putting out their rankings of the toughest schedule, and the lowest I've seen OU was like 8th.
Yeah.
They're way up there in strength of schedule. It's going to be a gauntlet, and that's what everybody I've said. Even like one of my buddies was mentioning me, a big Ohio State fan. He's like, man, he's like, look, he's like, I'm actually going to be cheering for OU because he's like, dude, that SEC schedule is about to be crazy. And he's like,
Yeah.
and he told me, he said, what's funny is he goes, I look at OU and I don't see them as an SEC team right now.
Right.
So he goes, I'll give you 2 to 3 years of cheering for you, and then you're an SEC team and you can just kick rocks. Um, But yeah, I mean, it's a we definitely it's not easy. It's not easy.
No,
If you can win some of these games, the good news is if you can win some of these games and shock some people, like I said, that's what I said. If you can get some poster type wins,
right?
you're doing something for yourself into the future.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Sorry about my dog there. Apologize. The wife and daughter just got home from a outing with friends. So anyways,
So let me ask, can I hijack for just a second?
yes, you can.
Okay, so I've talked to you about this, I think offline. I may have mentioned on the pod a couple times, but a friend of mine, we went to see UCF play OSU last year, which by the way, wild game to go see.
Right.
Just pulled that out of nowhere. Because we went into that game thinking OSU was just gonna throttle. Because at that point, if I remember right, OSU was like ranked. They
Yeah.
just beat OU, I think maybe. I don't remember. And just absolutely UCF just came out and throttled them.
Dominated them. Yeah.
Um so the agreement I had with him is he would go to we'd go to UCF game together. Now he wants to go to an OU game.
Right.
I've said from the get go that I told him like straight up at the beginning before the schedule's released. This was last year after the game. I was like, I think you should go to a night game. So I think everybody I've asked has said night game. And
Right.
maybe I'll ask some more viewers. So viewers, maybe you can comment on this. Leave a comment of what you think. Um, right now, because I told him I said I'd love to take him to an SEC game. He's fighting with me on paying for the ticket. He paid for my ticket to UCF, and I'm like, look, OU tickets are going to be more expensive. There's just no way about it.
Right.
But I was like, SEC games, every SEC game is going to be like $150, $200 to sit in the upper deck. Like
Right.
it's going to be crazy. I'm thinking like Houston or Tulane. Houston, he kind of said Houston because Houston's in the Big 12, right?
Right.
Like he has a
Right.
UCF connection. They play a lot. Just would be a fun game. And I was like, yeah, I was cool, but I was like, I like if you think there's an SEC game, I guess let me ask the viewers all this, both of them. Um, outside of Houston and Tulane, what game would you put on the list of games to go to this season? Like, which one
Mm,
would you say if you're taking a first time OU person, like person that's never been to an OU game, never been to a major college atmosphere, as in like one of the top 20 programs in the country, which game would you go to?
yeah.
What's your pick? And obviously, viewers, leave your comment on what you think it is.
Yeah. I mean, for me, obviously it'd be Bama, right?
Yeah,
Because the energy, but I will say this. You know that game's gonna be stupid expensive, right? That game's gonna be like stupid, 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 stupid expensive. So for me, if he really wants to see the pageantry that is college football, you take him to the Tennessee game because they're
I
going to
see. I'm
celebrate Heupel. They're going to do the national championship stuff, like all that jazz. Like, and
and Tennessee fans, by the way, hand on heart, the best fans that I've ever experienced. I
yes,
know by far
yeah,
the I was at Tennessee in 2016 or whatever, when they played, and they had like any other fan base. I feel like you would have had a ton of people that would have been jerks. Everybody pure class. So
yeah,
hats off to you, Tennessee. They're
yeah,
rowdy as they are the. If you've never been to Neyland Stadium, go watch a game because they are
yeah.
the rowdiest fans by far. That is the loudest I've ever been. No disrespect to OU's fan base, no disrespect to a lot of the other fan bases that I've seen. Nobody holds a candle to what I saw at Neyland.
Well, no, they're rabid, and there's 100 and what 3,000 or something that their
Yeah, I
stadium
think
seats. So I mean,
yeah, it was over
I mean,
100,000.
OU's 87, 88,000. So, I mean, you're right there. You're talking almost 20,000 more in
Yeah.
there. I mean, it's just, yeah, you can't. So that's what I would say. That's a great question though. So viewers, hit us up. What home game should Jared take his friend to go see? But I think I would lean towards the Tennessee game. So let's go through
Okay.
this schedule, shall we? See what we think.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to do this quickly because I think we would agree on this. Temple, Houston, Tulane. I think we're saying those are all wins, right? I
Yes,
think we're,
Tulane is probably the trickiest of that bunch, but
I would
yes.
agree. I would agree. And I do think that there's a little bit of a trap there. This is a program that has beaten a lot of Power Four schools, one, and two, you're playing the Volunteers the next week. So this is one of those games where the guys could have their eyes down the road, ready for SEC life, and get punched in the mouth by Tulane at home. But I still think they pull out a W in those 3 games. Right now,
Yep.
the Volunteers are at home, but they play Kent State the week before. So again, and OU's playing Tulane. So I mean, there's again,
Tulane is superior to Kent State, but
I would
yes,
say so, yes. But how do you feel about the return of Josh Heupel to Norman?
that's a tricky one because like if you look at his record, season before last, he looked like he had Tennessee just in the driver's seat of just trying to not in the driver's seat, but he was there knocking on the door of the SEC, right?
Right.
Last year, big fall off, and you could just see some of those cracks. And I feel like a lot of last year we saw a little bit of those things that plagued Josh Heupel when he was a coordinator at OU. You have a giant spider crawling on the wall behind you.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah. What's up, big guy?
So sorry for all our viewers. That just scared the living bejesus out of me because I don't like spiders. Um,
Arachnophobia. We can
yeah, there
edit
you go.
that
Just
out
paint over
later.
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll edit that in post. So I feel like Josh is going to be. I feel like OU's going to get a win there. I just don't feel. I feel like Josh is going to have another like 7 to 8 win season.
Okay. I think the thing that gives me hope in that game is, well, I think the thing that always kind of we saw with Josh is him overthink it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he will desperately want to win this game. I think he's going to want to shove it in the administration's face, even though I do think things have patched up a little bit there. And he has a young quarterback that doesn't have experience that's got to come play here. Right. I think he's only started a bowl game for them. So now he's hyper talented, no doubt about it. But I do think with the defense being as solid as they are, I think we squeak out a win here. But I think it is tight. I mean, the line's going to be like 2.5, 3.5 once we
You
get
also
to
have to
this
understand
game.
this is opening SEC play,
Oh,
so I think
yes.
that's another factor. OU's fan, like the OU fans, should be foaming at the mouth for this one.
The fans should be. Again, we don't know how the players are going to react. That's again
Sure.
that yin and yang of it all, right? So, all right, so we're at 4-0 right now for
Mm-hmm.
the Oklahoma Sooners. Now the
Yes, sir.
next week at Auburn. Auburn does have a game against Arkansas the week before, but they played Georgia the week after. So, Arkansas, OU, Georgia is their schedule in that stretch. How do we feel about our first road game in the SEC?
I just don't. I mean, Auburn is such a weird uh is such a weird team to look at.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna go OU with the win, but I think it's gonna be like that's gonna be a nail biter of a game. That's gonna be like you win by a field goal at most.
right.
But I'm gonna give them a win.
I am going to give us a loss. And
Okay.
here's why. I think that Hugh Freeze is there now, who, by the way, is a slime ball of a human being as well. I put him in the Tom Herman category of human beings.
Yep.
Um, but here's my thing. I think he can get a win against Arkansas, right? And I think he's going to throw every single thing he's got at OU. If he can beat the name, the brand OU in this iteration of his coaching career at Auburn, and then he's going to get smashed by Georgia, and he knows it, right? So you throw everything you've got at OU. It's OU's first time in a true road environment because let's be honest, the Cotton Bowl is the only road environment at all in their Big 12 lives of playing football. And look, Auburn fans, they're up there too.
Yep.
And there have been people say that it is as good or better than anywhere else in the SEC from a field advantage. So I'm going to give us a loss in that game just because I think Hugh Freeze is going to try to use that game as a statement game,
As a
right?
springboard.
Knowing that Georgia's going to annihilate him the next week and he's going to be able to go, I know we lost to Georgia, but look what we did to OU, right? Like
Yep.
that's going to kind of be the thing, right? So that's where I'm going there. Then we go to Texas. Neutral game in the Cotton Bowl, but Texas having the bye week the week before, and let's be honest, they're going to be out for blood. They gave up a game they should not have given up last year. at all. Where are you going?
Oh, you baby. Um, I like it's hard. It's tough. I think it's gonna be a hard fought game. I just don't think the thing is like I think Texas is a little overhyped this year. I mean, not to say that they don't have a lot of talent, they do, but you lost Xavier Worthy, Donai Mitchell, like a lot of your key receivers
Mm-hmm.
are gone. I don't think Quinn Ewers is. I don't understand the love affair with him at all. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's good. I'm not dismissing that he's not good.
He's just
But people
not the
trying to say
elite guy that they,
He's a Heisman front runner. No shot, in my
yeah,
opinion. Um, Look at his stats with like you had Xavier Worthy,
yeah,
who on any other team would have been in the Bolitnikoff conversation,
right.
and I think barely broke 1,000 yards this year or last year. I don't see him being that guy. But we'll see. So I think it's gonna be, and like I said, I just don't think I think that there's a lot of talent, but I think there's a lot of spots on that team where that talent is unproven, and we've
Mm,
seen time and time again with Texas.
yeah,
Last year was different, but we've seen time and time with Texas where they always have a boatload of talent, and it's just whether they believe that Texas written on their jersey is what's going to make them great or not.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, I don't know, man. Sark's got that thing rolling. They've recruited really well. I know they've lost a lot as well, so they've got a lot of question marks like we do. I mean, that's just the way it is. I am going to give the good guys one here. So I'm going to have them at 5-1 through the Texas game. You have them at 6-0 at this point
Okay.
right now. This is where we're at, right? So then it is the Gamecocks at home, and then they are at Alabama the week before. Now, granted, not the same Alabama. There's no Nick Saban there, but still. Alabama the week before, and that's on the road at Alabama. Go back, get ready, come on the road to OU as well. So, thoughts here?
Wish Shane Beamer the best. I hope he has a great season. I'm going to be honest. I hope he stays
Yeah,
it because there's a lot of people saying he's on the hot seat, and I love
right.
Shane Beamer. But I think they're gonna get a win there.
Yeah. And I'm with you on that one. I mean, that's a game you need to win. That's a game that you need to have highlighted as we
That's not a game
cannot
you need to
drop
win.
this
That's a
game.
game you need to dominate.
Yeah, I'm not even worried about that this year. I mean, to be honest, don't care about dominations
Okay,
at
well, let
all.
me not put it this way. It doesn't need to be a dogfight at the end.
It does.
You don't need to win. You don't need to win 49-0. But if the game is 35-31 at the end of the game, I'm going to be like, not great.
See, I'm okay with it. With this schedule that they have to go through, you just need to win. The games you need to win, you just have to win. It's that schedule is that tough. Look, there is a real world. You have them at 6-0. There's a real world where they are 3-3.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
100%. Like, so we cannot sit here and say, oh, you got to win by 2. No, win by 1. That is all that matters. That is all that matters. I don't care who it is other than Maine. Maine's the only one that you've got to dominate. Everything else outside of that, but I have it as a win as well. So now you are at 7-0. I'm at 6-1. Now we go to at Old Miss, bye week the week before. What are you giving this one?
Loss. I mean, Ole Miss is all in. They put all their chips on the table. I really do think, as much as people may not like him, and I think he does some questionable, weird things, even though I think he's hilarious on Twitter.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin's got that program on the rise. And now they have a lot of talent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ole Miss is that program that they know that. So they're going to be rowdy. I think they're a team that you could be facing off with, and they're only a 1 or 2 loss team, and they're going to be pounding their chest.
Yeah, I
So
100% agree. Like
yeah,
we're just, and look, here's our goal. We will come back to this after our non-conference, right? And
yeah,
revisit this because we've mentioned this too. They are all in. They have pushed all the chips in, which means if they have a few bumbles early, that team could fall apart because it is a roster of mercenaries and everybody knows it. And we've seen how that's worked at A&M, and we've seen how it's worked at a couple other places. It's not been great. So we could easily get 4 games into the season and go, that game could be a win now, right? But as of right now on paper, no, that's a loss. That is
Yeah,
definitely a loss. So I have us at 2 losses. You finally have us at a loss. We finally get to play Maine. I think we both have that, right, as a
yeah,
win. So we're
yeah.
good there. Now, at Missouri, Missouri has a bye week the week before.
Win.
Woo.
I think there's a lot of. I mean, it's gonna be a crazy game. They're gonna want OU blood bad, and I give
Yeah.
that to them. But I don't. I can't even remember the quarterback's name now.
Oh gosh.
Brady, isn't it Brady?
What
Brady Cook,
is
is that his
I
name?
believe that's right. I believe that's right.
He's a guy that just is weird. Like he's a very hot cold kind of guy. And like I said, even last year when you look at it, it's like a lot of the good teams that they faced, they got beat up by. Um, the teams like they were kind of that team that early on they beat some teams. Everybody's thinking like those teams could be good, and then they ended up all being bad.
Right.
So I'm just not a huge. I know that they're better, and I know that they got a lot of guys, but I think OU wins.
I have another loss. And the reason I say that is their schedule is so easy. And because of that, they're going to be healthier and they get a bye week to get even more healthy. Like, look, I do not believe that we are going to go through the gauntlet of Tennessee, Auburn, Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and not have some injuries and some bang ups and just not be doing great. Like, mentally, emotionally, physically, I think this team is going to be worn slick. On top of the fact, this is the game that Drinkowitz wants, that the alumni want, that the students want. Like, the whole beef with Missouri and us is ridiculous because they have no right to even be in the conversation historically with OU at all. But they act like they do. And I just think they are going to, same thing, they're going to unload the clip right here. They're going to unload the clip. And the thing with them that they have done very sneakily in all of this is their transfers and all that stuff. They didn't go out and just sign up every single person, but they've gotten big names in every recruiting class and in every transfer portal in these key little positions. Now, Caden Green, big factor here because they
Yep.
brought him in to play left tackle.
Yep.
OU played him at guard, I think, more so out of necessity. I think they would have given him the option potentially to be at left tackle. But then again, they may have seen him as a very good guard and not great at tackle. I don't know. And so we'll see what that looks like. And there's a chance there. But again, the thing that it kind of eliminates that is I don't believe that we have a great defensive end room. So even if he's an average tackle, I don't know that we can take advantage of it. So that's where I'm at on that game. So I have us now with what does that give us? 3 losses for me and 1 for you.
Yeah.
Good grief. Okay. Very good. Bama at home. Mercer the week before. Okay. But here, they do have the Iron Bowl the week after. So it's Mercer OU Iron Bowl for them. And Kalen DeBoer's first year.
Right.
Which game would he prioritize more? I think is kind of the question and why I put that in there.
I don't think it matters. I think Bama wins. I think that's a loss for OU. I mean, yes, Bama is definitely not. They lost a lot of talent, and they lost Nick Saban, but they're so rich at talent, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going lost too. I mean, we'll see what happens in that game, but just purely the rosters alone. And DeBoer getting to bring his whole staff, and we've seen that he can coach his tail off. I I
the
feel
the,
like
the one question, the one saving grace for OU is Jalen Milroe. Is what is he going to be?
right,
The QB
right.
situation at Bama is going to be where they're going to. I think some. That's where we're going to have a big discussion. I think further in the season. I think we should revisit that game further in the season based on how Alabama looks. That's a very big question mark game, but I still give Alabama the win. So I have 2 losses now.
2 losses now. And I have another loss. That's my fourth, right? So we are now at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games in. I'm at 7-4.
Mm-hmm.
Is where I'm sitting at right now. And now we play LSU in Baton Rouge, night game, and they have Vanderbilt the week before.
Yeah, LSU is a loss. I hate to say it. That environment is crazy. That is probably fun fact. LSU is the rated hardest stadium to play in NCAA football or college EA college
Yes.
football, and it should be because it's wild. And I think that they're as much as I hate God, I hate him so bad. I hate Brian Kelly so bad. Um, but I think that he's got a lot of talent on that team. So
Yeah.
that's another L.
I go back and forth on this one, man. But again, I'm just nervous about our roster even holding up at this point from a physical standpoint and everything else. I've got to call it a loss as well. So I've got us at 7-5 is what I've got. And that's with a win over Texas. That's with wins over Tennessee, you know? And again, maybe I'm being super negative, Nancy. I don't know. But again, I think we can both agree there's a possibility of a 6-6 record here, and especially if the O line is not good, especially if Jackson Arnold doesn't progress to being a true superstar in the game, not just in his talent. He is a superstar in his talent.
Can we? Yeah, something that nobody's talking about that kind of has me scratching my head a little bit.
Hmm.
The running backs have to be better through the season.
Yeah.
Like we saw Sawchuk turn it on, but
Right.
without oh wow, why can I not think of his name now? He transferred. He went to
Barnes.
Wisconsin.
Oh, Towie Walker.
Towie Walker. Without Towie Walker in the first 3 games,
Yeah.
you're probably taking a loss on one of those.
Yeah.
Even really through the season, there was times he had to come in and spell people because they just saw Chuck or Barnes or saw Chuck or whoever just was not performing.
Right.
Um, so they really got to put together. I think Sawchuk has the tools, and if he can get it, he's got that between the ears problem. I think a little bit, or he did last year, and he needs to fix that. And if he can be consistent.
Yeah.
But that's a question mark. I think that they
Right.
have that potential, but they have to be consistent.
Well, and I think even and we've talked about this through the first couple of years with Brent. I think it's been probably one of you and I's biggest complaints, question, whatever. Your best talent, as long as they're not being absolute knuckleheads, as long as they have some semblance of understanding of what their job is, needs to be on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So last year, Sawchuk obviously has a hamstring issue for most of the year. Barnes obviously keeps showing up to games saying he's healthy. He said this himself, and then get to game day and go, I can't go. So he's not healthy, right? And you leaned on Marcus Major and Towie Walker, and you gave Caleb Hicks 2-3 carries. What are we doing? Jaden Gibson, every time the dude sees the field, is making huge plays, and we're playing Gavin Freeman. I'm sorry, but you cannot do that in the SEC. I don't care how much you respect the kid's work ethic. Look, I had great work ethic. We can get Coach Melson on here again. He'll tell you I had great work ethic in high school. I sucked. I started, but I sucked. If we'd have had anybody else at wide receiver, I'm not out there, right? It doesn't matter how hard you work, especially at the college level. You got to put the guys that can play out there. And look, we talked about this. Another high school coach messages you and I and says, I have no idea what they're doing with this offensive line. This was last year. And named, these are the guys. These are your guys. They have to be on the field. And remember, as soon as they put those guys on the field, guess what happened? It took off. And Caden Green was one of them. Like, this whole, like, he went to class 99% of the time. I don't, like, go to class, yes. Like I said, don't be a knucklehead. But I'm sorry, if this dude is a 99 on the scale and this guy's 85, there better be a big freaking reason why 99 is not on the field. And if that means creating packages for that guy, it does not matter. Because at the end of the day, football still comes down to, if I have a one-on-one matchup with you, I can beat you. Right? Like the story, I don't know if you saw, sorry, I'm getting on a total rant. Did you see the Larry Allen story that came out about him the other day? I can't remember what defensive lineman they were interviewing, but Larry Allen would come to the line and go, chew, chew. And what he meant was, we're running the ball to my side. He would literally tell the defensive line, this is a run play. It's coming to my side. And there was nothing they could do. He goes, dude, I knew it. He goes, I knew exactly. Everybody had told me what it was. I was like, oh, I've got this. And he just mowed me down as well as the linebacker. Like, that's what we're talking about. When you have a player that good, it doesn't matter if he has every single play down. You need to know which ones he has, and you need to tailor the plan around them and make it work.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we talked about that with the rotation at wide receiver, at running back, even some at line. I mean, across the whole board, offensive line everywhere, even on offense and defense. We were just going, what is going on? Even with and like I said, even with Towie, it's like, to me, and maybe this is us, like with the Stoops era sort of thought process, whatever. It was like Towie came in and saved you in 2 games at least. And then, like, you just kind of benched him and put Sawchuk out there. And you were kind of like, I'm kind of like going, unless something happened in practice that we just don't know about, I would be going to Sawchuk and going, you're going to get some chances. And if you want that job back, then you need to prove it.
Right.
Not just throwing him out there. I mean, it was just a weird, like I said, Caleb Hicks didn't show up ever.
Right.
Just really weird. So anyway,
well, that was the biggest one, right? Like, of all of it, it was, we caught wind that Sawchuk was dealing with a hamstring. We get why he's not playing. But Marcus Major, we've seen him. It's been 5 years, man. Like, you're going to get what you're going to get, but this ain't it. Towie Walker, tough, hard-nosed runner. That's great. But him carrying the ball 30 times and Caleb Hicks never touching it, and Major and all those people carrying, like, that makes no sense. It just made no sense. Jaden Gibson not playing more than 3 plays a game just didn't make sense. Peyton Bowen playing as little as he did last year. When he showed he could play, you better not do that this year. You do that this year, you are going 6-6, 7-5. So you better put the talent on the field. So that's that. Let's talk some NBA, shall we? About 45 minutes ago, game 3 ended with another Boston win.
Yeah, I'm changing my prediction back to 5-0. Or sorry, 5-game win for the Celtics, not 5-0. 5, they're going to win in 5. I think Dallas is going to win the next game. If I remember right, they'll go back to Boston and they'll win there.
Nice. This could be a sweep, man, is where I'm at. I just do not see this one. I don't know. I mean, the referees are going to have to do some serious work. I think, to make it work. I mean, they just cannot figure out how to get through this squad at all. And they're going to have to, but it is definitely a rough go of it right now. So, seeing the Dallas Mavericks now choking it away in the finals after annihilating the Thunder, I thought we would just do a quick little game. Yeah?
Can I just do a quick rant?
Oh, yes, I did one. So go right ahead.
Luca, let me talk to you. Let me talk. Come sit down, Luca. I know you're listening to the pod. I love Luca off the court. One of my favorite players. when I watch him play his pure basketball, when he makes a pure basketball play and pure basketball skill, one of the best in the game. He ruins it all with the way he reacts to fouls, the way he tries to draw fouls. Like everybody wants to do like LeBron Jamesing, LeBron James and all that. Like that was a whole meme for like years. Still is a meme, right? Luka is worse.
Yeah.
Like LeBron, here's where I'll give, and like I told you this, we were watching the game. I'll give LeBron a little bit of like just a hair of like leeway of light, in that there's times when he'll like draw a foul or he'll flop and he'll get up and you can see him kind of go like, yeah, like I was.
Yeah.
Luke, on the other hand, like tonight, tackled a guy, grabbed a guy by the jersey. And I mean, it was the most blatant thing I've ever seen in a basketball game. Literally grabbed, like you could see the guy's jersey just nearly get ripped in half, drags him to the ground. And then when he gets called by a foul, throws his arms up. And it's not even like, oh, come on. Like he's yelling at the ref. Like he just takes it so far. Tonight he gets fouled out on what some people are calling a close play. I think it was close, not that close. I think it was a pretty clear blocking
Blocking
foul.
foul. Yeah.
And he acts and he's yelling at the refs. He's saying stuff even when he's out of the game. And this is where I told you I have a very big problem. If you're a superstar on Luka's level, you foul out, you need to go to the bench and you need to say, I don't care anymore. I'm going to cheer on my team. I'm going to try to give them a positive attitude. And you know what he did the entire time?
Bark
He
at
laughed
refs.
at every foul call that got called. He whined and complained and sat there and acted pouty the entire time.
Yeah.
And he cheered his team on, but it was like, oh, we got a foul. Come on. Of course we got a foul.
Yeah.
Those things ruin it, Luka. Like everybody wants to like you. That's what's funny. Everybody wants to cheer for you. I don't even hate, like, I know Oklahoma City and Dallas have this rivalry,
Right.
and I want to cheer for them. I want to cheer for them against the Celtics, and I am all in on the Celtics because of how they act about fouls. Because his attitude, being the superstar and being the head of that team, spreads to everybody else.
Yep.
Kyrie
Yep.
has always been a guy that's like that, but I feel like since he's joined that team, much worse about it.
Dialed it way
And that's the
back.
other
Yeah.
thing is I don't mind you calling for a play, but there's times where they're so busy. There was a play tonight. Kyrie is yelling at the ref and throwing his arms up, and Boston's pushing the ball down the court, and he's still on his side of the court. And Boston's got the ball, and it just goes in for it's 5-on-4 because you're
Yeah.
so busy complaining. So my thing is, I want to, like I said, is if you want me to ask, if you said if as a pure basketball player, Luka is one of the best in the game, I would not argue that at all.
Right.
But his attitude and the way he acts about fouls and the way he tries to draw them and all these other things, and how every time he plays this pity party,
Yeah.
ruins it. So that's my rant. I want to love you, Luka. Just fix that.
Yeah. I mean, and again, we know through ex players that have been on other podcasts and stuff that the organization's told him it's too much. Social media is telling you it's too much, and that's the other thing. Like you said, it's LeBron complains a lot, but Luka literally is every play. Every play. I mean, there is rarely, and it's on both sides of the ball. Every time he's on defense, the offense has fouled him. It's an offensive foul. And every time he's on offense, the defense has fouled him. I mean, or a teammate or whatever. I mean, nothing is clean, and yeah, it's got to stop. So how does the Thunder get him out of the playoffs so we don't have to deal with it? That's the question. And so three ways to look at it, right? And so I tried to come up with a clever way to think through this. Train, trade, or sign. Train, obviously, being run it back, right? Take what you got, train them up, and continue to develop. Trade, obviously, take some of those assets, go get somebody. Or sign. Find a free agent that you like and you think fits in with this unit, or maybe two. Bring them both in and see what you can get, right? So, obviously, there's some things that can mix and match. I still, for instance, as an example, I still think if the Thunder somehow took their 2 picks and moved up to 10, I would still put that in the train category, right? Even though they technically traded for something, I would still put that in the train category, right? Those kinds of things. So, first of all, Jared, what would you do if you're Sam Presti? Would you trade for a player? Would you sign a player or just train the roster that you have?
I think I'm going to give you a non-answer and you're going to hate it.
Of course you are.
I think we're going to see a trade on draft night. Right? Like, I think Presti, there's no way you're not going to see some crazy wizardry that we just don't know. Right. And it even could be that he trades out of the first round. And,
Right.
I don't know. You never know with Presti. So I'm not going to even try to hazard a guess. I do think you're going to see a trade on there. But I don't think my prediction is you're not going to see some blockbuster crazy trade where we're going to pick up some superstar from wherever or
Right.
anything like that. I think it's going to be maybe a trade for picks or whatever. I don't know, an option somewhere. Who knows? So I do think that's going to happen. So I think there is going to be some trading done. But I don't think that's going to be anything that's going to affect this roster drastically, at least for the next season or two, right? I think you need to train. I don't I mean, I understand like there's guys you can go sign, and I've said this from the beginning. One of the biggest strengths, and this is something that I feel like people again glaze over a little bit more than they should, is the chemistry. And you don't want to do like we've talked about, you don't want to do subtraction by addition. You don't want to add somebody to this locker
Right.
room that's going to mess that up. So you have to be, and that's a very fragile thing, right? You've seen, and people want to say, well, that wouldn't happen to this team. It's like you've seen that happen. You've seen
Yeah.
Dwight Howard when all the teams that he went to and how they all cratered,
Right.
right? Or even Westbrook to some degree. No, sorry, not Westbrook. I'm sorry. Sorry, Westbrook. Harden. You've seen that with Harden a little bit, where he's gotten not really rave reviews, right, for his antics or whatever. So I think you need to train. I mean, I think if you look at again, if we talked about this after the Thunder were knocked out, they need to train. They need to hit the weight room. They need to bulk up a little bit. Chet needs to add however much weight, and they need to get physical about going on the boards. They need to do nothing but
Yeah.
rebound practice for the next offseason. Because I mean, that was the big difference in this game. If you go back and look at that series against Dallas, it all changed because Dallas was getting crazy amounts of offensive rebounds.
Yeah, there was a couple
And
games that swung because of that for sure.
and they're just, and it just, you could see those sorts of things. I think the physicality is what still they need to be able to handle a little bit better. So I think I'm going to go train, but I think the other two are still going to be in play.
Okay, gotcha. It's trade for me, and I only say that because, like, when I'm thinking from the Presti side of it, I don't think Presti has to go to Shea. I don't think he has to go to Chet, and I don't think he has to go to J Dub or J Will or any of those guys and go, I need you to go get better. I think all he's got to say is, hey, look, man, Mark believes this. If you'll get great at this in the offseason, we're good. See ya. Have a great offseason. And they'll do that on their own. Right.
Right.
But I think there is nobody in the free agent class that moves the needle for me. So I don't want to sign, but this team needs another piece. And they have the assets to do it. So trade. Go get somebody that for 2 to 3 years can be on this team and not shake up the Chet, J-Dub, Shea window or that unit and make a run. Make a run. And in that, those guys are going to continue to train, get more physical, get better, get more mature. And by the end of it, you hope that those three can carry, right, the roster that's filled in with first round picks average. So that's for me. It's all in on the trade. I've got a board of 3 guys that I think can change this roster, and I am making phone calls every day, trying to get information, what they want, what they need, what they're thinking, what they want, and doing whatever I can to get that trade moving and get somebody here. So now this one's a little weird. Who would you go after the most in each? So this is interesting because of the train part, right? But like, you're Sam Presti. Who are you bringing in the office and go, here's the deal. This is your training plan. And if you don't hit it, you don't have a job here anymore. If you don't hit the marks we need you to hit, like that's what I mean by who do you go after the most on the train, right? The trade obviously is who you would trade for. sign, who would you sign in the offseason, right? Like that's a free agent. So there you go. Who would you go after in each of those categories?
I mean, I already answered Train Chet for Train. I think I look, Chet's fantastic. I think that the he's one of those guys that I feel like overall is mostly solid. But he needs to add a little weight. He needs to add a
Mm-hmm.
little physicality. He needs to add a little bit of that. I don't want to, I hate to use the word toughness, but you know what I mean? Like that just gritty
Mm-hmm.
down hard play. I
Yeah.
think he's a tough guy, but it's just he's lanky. He doesn't have the bulk or the size or that grit to him. Like I said, that's why as much as you both hated me, I referenced Steven Adams as Steven Adams is that guy. You put him down
Yeah.
there and it's like he may not have a great stat line, but the dude just bodies people up
Yeah.
and he makes you earn every rebound. He makes you earn everything you do down in the paint. And they need that from Chet. So train is that. Oh man, trade. I'm not gonna say Steven Adams again because you and Troy will just absolutely yell at me. Um, man, I don't know. That's when I know this was like my homework, but I don't know. I guess I'll give you the answer of I think like I agree with you. I don't think there's anybody in this draft that to me just really moves the needle.
Mm-hmm.
That you're just going. So I think as far as trade, I think that Sam Presti needs to do some magic wizardry to try to grab or snag up some picks in the future, in like the next year's draft or year after.
Mm.
I'm not super well versed on those classes' talent, so I don't know which one's stronger. But I think if you can get like a top 10 or what should be projected a
Right.
top 10 pick or protected top 10 or whatever, I think you can do some crazy stuff with that. Um so that and then the signing, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know who to. I mean, I think you have to sign. I mean, you're gonna hate me saying this probably. Well, I think you got to say, isn't Kason Wallace only on a? Is his
No,
contract
he's no, he's
three,
good.
two more years?
2 more years, yeah, before he has to get, or three
Is
more years,
Giddy?
three
So
more years before.
Giddy's is up next year, isn't it?
Yes.
Sign Giddy.
Wow.
Here's my thought process. You're not like this is the thing, and this is something that occurred to me the other day, and I feel bad, and this is again we all know about the Giddy drama, right? We all know about the Giddy situation.
Right.
He's nuclear to most franchises. Still, regardless that he got proven innocent or whatever you want to call it, innocent or whatever, right? Like there's no charges filed. I don't I hate to use the word innocent, but you know what I mean. There was no charges filed, all those sorts of things. Um, he's nuclear, so you're not going to be able. If you put him on the trade block, everybody's going to go. I don't want to sign a guy that's been accused of sexual assault or whatever.
See, I
And
don't, I don't find that, but I get what you're saying though.
yeah, so but I think Giddy is a guy that he needs to work on consistently. He's been saying that since he got here. But I think you sign him. I think you can if you can sign him, especially if you can get him. If you can, if he, I think you might be able to get him cheap. Is the thing. I think you may as overall. I think you can probably get a little bit of a discount because of those situations, because of those things, because every other
Hmm.
franchise is not going to want to sign him, or not many are. I think that you're going to be able to look at him and say, look, we're going to give you an opportunity to stay here and have a career here. And you're going to, as far as the value he's going to bring per dollar, is going to be massive compared to that,
Yeah.
whether he's consistent or not.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's an interesting thought. I don't think he's nuclear at all, personally. I mean, I think when even for a front office, like with all the like this was not a police report. Like that's my thing I always just come back to. This is some rando that puts a photo up on Instagram or wherever and says that Giddy has a relationship with a girl that's underage. And everybody, not everybody, Twitter ran with it. No news organization touched that story. Nobody, because they knew it was bullcrap. And I think
Yeah.
front offices know that too. Now, for me, Train, Troy is going to lose his mind when I say this. It is Usman Jang. I pull Usman Jang in and go, look, bro, you're already on a two-way. Like you're already going down G coming up, all the different things, blah blah. And he's not on a 2A. He's first round draft pick, but obviously he's bouncing back and forth. Great, you were Finals MVP. That's awesome. I need you to learn what physical basketball is. You have 6 months to figure it out. You better learn how to rebound, and you better freaking learn what a rotation is defensively. And then when you get your opportunities to shoot the ball, you play like the G League Finals MVP where you shot and scored. But that's look, we keep talking about somebody that has length, size, which gives you the ability to rebound, and that still has offensive game in them. It's him. He checks every box except for the defense.
Can it?
That's
I want to clip this. I want you to clip what I'm about to say and send it to Troy. Is Jang your Poku? Is that your Poku?
no, I hated Poku.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Troy was always big
Oh,
on Poku.
yeah, maybe, but he's actually shown promise. That's my thing. Like he's gotten better. Like he's gotten way better since he's been here. Poku never did. But yes, maybe he is. But I'm just saying of guys that are on the roster, when you're talking about Train, I'm not worried about Chet. I'm not worried about J Dub. I'm not worried about Shea. I'm not worried about Aaron Wiggins. I'm not even worried about Giddy. Look, as much as I don't think the team should keep Giddy, he's gotten better every year. He has gotten better every year. I'm not worried about Case and Wallace. That's a lot of bodies to not be. I'm not worried about Jay Will getting better. Usman Jang has gotten better offensively, and he's improved a little bit rebounding wise. But I'm pulling him in. Dude, if you don't get this done, you're gone. And we'll let somebody else decide if they want a G League MVP on their roster. Like,
Yep.
that's the guy that I zero. It's him. For me, it's got to be him or Kenrich. One of those two. I don't know which one, but it's got to be one of those two for me. Trade, I mean, I went all in last week. It's Bobby Portis Jr. for me. I give up 3 first rounders to get him here for the next 2 years and a player. Give him a Giddy, give him a whatever, and bring him in now. I think he instantly makes this team a front runner for the championship. He is the perfect player complement to the side of Chet. And he brings attitude and he brings edge. I understand the whole, culture side of things, but I'm not worried about it with him. Sign, fans are gonna hate it, but for me, it's Derek Jones Jr. from the Mavericks. 6'8" guy, 6'7" guy, plays super hard, tough nose defense, and he's shown capableness at offense. But I mean, you want to talk about him and Dort on the floor together at the same time with J Dub and shit, like the defense would be insane. Would be insane. So those are my go all ins on those positions. Now, the last, and we've kind of keep kicking this around, but the more that things keep moving, what do you think will happen? Train,
So
trade, or sign?
I've kind of already said, and I gave you the non-answer. I think there's gonna be a train and trade. I think those are the two that are gonna happen now. Again, you could give me a crystal ball, and I wouldn't be able to tell you what Sam Presti's gonna do. That he's the wizard unto himself.
Yeah.
One thing that did enter my head, and I had this thought, and I really want this. I really want. I'll have to text this to Troy tomorrow or whatever. This is going to make a lot of Thunder fans mad, but we just talked about this a little bit, the culture thing. You know, one person that I really wish we could bring back, but I don't think we should.
Russ.
Yes. I think Russ would be a terrible fit for this team.
Oh, I do too.
I mean, as much as I think I would love it, don't get me wrong, I would love for Russ to come back, even if it was just he just sat on the bench but he's not that guy. That's the
No.
problem with him is he's a type A personality.
Right.
He's going to want to be. The fans are going to want him to be. As
Yeah.
much as everybody loves Shea, Russ stuck with Oklahoma City for so long through the dark years. Everybody's going to cheer him on 10 times harder. It's just that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, I think that there's going to be a lot of training, obviously. I think that goes without saying, right?
Yeah.
But I do think there's going to be trades, but I just don't think that there's going to be I think this is still a year. He's going to move some picks around. and keep increasing. Somehow he's the guy that throws some picks out there on a trade and ends up getting twice as much back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
I,
I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to, I don't know that we're going to have any maybe major players, but I think there'll be some picks moved around.
yeah. Um, I think the main thing they do in the offseason is a trade. I think that'll be the splash, right? If not, it'll be multiple signings of people that everybody's like, really? A little bit like an Isaiah Joe. I mean, don't forget, Isaiah Joe was picked up off waivers, meaning he was cut. And we were like, cool, we picked this guy up. That's awesome. And then now we want him in the starting lineup all the time, right? So, um, but I do think he makes a trade for a significant piece personally, or two.
Yeah.
You know, and when I say significant, I'm not. It's not LeBron. It's not KD. But I think he could potentially trade for two players that really fit this team well. And you go, you know what? Those guys aren't superstars, but we don't need a superstar. We have the superstars. But that is awesome. And maybe we end up giving away like three of the guys that we all really like right now and some picks. But at the end of the day, that 7 to 8 depth is going to be more than enough. And this team's up at the front. So I think it'll be in the trade
I
category.
mean, here's the one thing that I think we kind of all agree on. At some point, you're going to have to let somebody go that you don't want to. That's
Oh,
kind of the crappy part of the situation you're in.
yeah.
We all love Case and Wallace, and
Right.
I don't. In a way, I'd love for him to stay at Oklahoma City because I think his potential is crazy high. But if you
Right.
trade him and you go get somebody that just is next level right now, you kind of have to.
Right. That's
So
exactly right.
anyway, I don't know when that's going to happen, but it could happen this offseason. It could happen next offseason. I don't know. This is the free agent market's going to be kind of wild this year too. And I just think the trade market's about to be really wild. There's like we talked about that. There's a lot of teams that are on that rollover bubble.
Yeah.
That are I think where Oklahoma City is going to be able to go to them with a
Yeah.
treasure chest.
Well, like, see, I just saw a guy throw a whole scenario out the other day of us trading for Zion.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that.
I'm not either, but like from a player standpoint, it's actually a really good fit. The dude will get in there and muscle people around for sure. And offensively, can you imagine with Shea and J Dub dropping dimes to him coming down the line? I mean, there's some ways it fits. I don't love it because I just don't believe the guy loves basketball. I don't think he does. I think that's why he's hurt all the time because he doesn't love basketball. But there's so many opportunities out there right now on the trade market that's just it's wild. It's
Yeah.
absolutely wild. So, anyways, that's all I've got. Anything else you got?
Acolyte, not a big fan. Actually
Oh,
hate the Acolyte.
mm,
Not gonna finish it. The boys comes out
wow.
this week though, so I'm happy. Yeah, dude, the act I'm maybe done with Star Wars. I dislike it that much. That's probably somebody's gonna be mad and yell at me.
Mm.
The
Me and Troy
Acolyte,
will probably be on the other side of that coin. That's kind of usually how we end up with Star Wars.
yeah, Disney Star Wars is dead to me. Yeah, I episode 3. I tried to watch it. I got 10 minutes into it, and I was like, I don't I can't spoil it. Just not a fan. Anyway, Welcome to Wrexham has been fantastic. Loving the season. You still need to catch up.
I'm
Like I said, the boys is coming back. I think tomorrow or Friday. I don't remember which day it's coming back this week, which I'm hyped about. I don't think you've ever watched the boys.
I got
Um,
through I don't know, maybe 5 episodes of season one and was just like, it's just too over the top for me.
it's very violent. It's very
Yeah, the
it's
violence doesn't bother me. It was more the other stuff that I was just like,
yeah,
yeah, I can't. I'm not into that. Like,
yeah. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, like I said, Welcome to Wrexham is still good. So, Van City Reynolds, we'll do the Oklahoma chapter of Wrexham Fan Club or whatever. I can
yes,
head at the Florida one, maybe. We'll do two of them, two per.
yes, let's go.
Um, but yeah, the last episode was really, really good. They talked a lot about James McLean. And that was a cool story. Very because like I didn't even know, like I knew some of his backstory because he's Irish,
Uh
right?
huh.
And they talk a little bit about his backstory, and I got heard some stuff, and like it's really, let me just say this, like I don't want to spoil anything, but it's one of those shows where you know that somebody has a lot of controversy. I'm not even a big soccer fan, but I knew he had all this controversy following him.
Hmm.
And this episode's one of those that doesn't really make it that he doesn't have controversy, but you understand that like when you read an article about him, it sounds worse than what it is. Like he has a legitimate reason to do some of the things that he's done. So whatever side you're on that, whatever, there's a whole political side to that, but still really, really cool story. Um, so yeah, and then F1, Canadian Grand Prix was wild.
Nice.
Lot of fun. So yeah, that's all I got. Yeah, I mean,
That's it.
I'm just ready for EA Sports, man. I'm just ready for the
I
college football to
know.
get here. I'm like it's like feels like every at least 2 or 3 times a week at least I get some info dump about
Yeah.
the game, and I'm like, just please be in my hands, just
Yeah.
please be here.
And dude, I'm all in already. I can just already tell you, like, unless we get it and just something glitches completely out, like
I'm just
I was listening to a guy today talk about it. He's like, dude, like, there's gonna be mistakes, but he's like, bro, they tried to get everything right. Like,
so that well, there's that. I think there's a lot of like the passion. I mean, it's EA, so everybody's I think EA is EA. I mean, even if you're not a gamer, you know the
right.
reputation that EA has. Um, so there's a little bit of that, but I think in Madden has been just a dumpster fire for so long, so I think that's kind of like that lingering
Yes.
fear. Here's my thing. I think like you said, there's a lot. Everybody I've talked to has said like the development team is a lot of passion. They brought in a lot of people from the college football revamped, which was a mod that people use to continue playing the games on not only
Right.
on consoles but on like they ported it to PC basically. And they brought a lot of those people in, so they're guys invested in college football. Like that's their thing. This isn't
Yep.
just we hired a guy that knows how to do graphic design or to design character models or
Right.
whatever. It's like these guys care about college football. So that's a
Right.
big thing. Was that's like that's the difference in college football and not to say there's not passion, but it's like the pageantry and the loyalty and
Yeah.
it's just a different world, which we know is all changing. But anyway, one thing before we wrap up talking about that, I'm never playing with your son. I'm never playing Tal, and I will never play. I hate to break the kid's heart. I will never play EA Sports college football with my nephew. I love you. I love you, buddy. I love you. But this kid
Dude,
is
we still don't know what he did. You and I both still have
you
not
sat
figured
there
out.
one day and watched me play Madden with him, which
I
I'm a
told you it
gamer.
happened to me before you ever played him.
And dude, yeah, I was like, dude, I had like literally like 19 fumbles. I was like, you're literally, you found a glitch. I went and checked sliders. I don't know what he did, but it's like every time my player would graze the side of another player,
Yes.
I would lose the football.
Yes. Yes.
And not only that, then he would do the stupid plays where he would run his quarterback 30 yards backwards into the end zone nearly, and then throw a Hail Mary to a tight end who was wide open because the AI doesn't know how
Yeah.
to react to it. And he knows
Right.
how to. I'm like, bro, I love you. I love you, Tal. He's a great kid. Don't everybody, Tal, you're a wonderful kid.
Yeah.
Keep being
No, I'm
you.
with you. I'm
But
with
I'm
you.
never playing college
I
football with you.
played him twice and he told me after the first one, he was like, you got so mad, but I promise I didn't. I was like, maybe it was just something weird in the game. So we'll play again. And it was a first opening kickoff. I returned and boom, fumble. I'm just like, here we go. I mean, like this is like I don't know what he did, don't know what he figured out. I tried to Google it myself to find out what it was. I could not find it. I don't know. I don't know if he installed a bot. I don't know. I have no idea. But yes, we're gonna be there's gonna have to be some ways to hold him accountable to truly playing the
We
game.
we need to have whatever league you have or dynasty online dynasty. I want to be in with like you and Troy, uh, and Tyler. Even I don't know. I think
Yeah.
Tyler's getting it too. So
Yeah. Yeah, he's buying a system just for NCAA. So
yeah, that's what
it's
one of my
crazy.
buddies is. He was literally is like, he messaged me. He's like, should I buy like an Xbox Series X or S or what? And I was like, yeah, buy the X because it's like
Yep.
whatever. And then it was funny. He's like, well, are they gonna release like new consoles? Like, I don't know, I don't think so. And then like literally like 3 days ago, they announced they're the same consoles. They just have more storage. And he was like, look at that, buddy. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry.
Just buy extra storage. It'll be fine. So,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
that's all we've got for tonight, man. Thanks for joining us. We really do appreciate those of you that do listen to this thing. We've been at it a while, and we're grateful for you guys, man. So keep interacting with us. Keep coming along for the ride. We're having a great time. We hope you are too. I'm Daryl. That's Jared. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye, Baker.